flawless. Gotta be in you, not just on you. I'm obeying my calling. We going grown up after dark, it's that time to unwind. Let's have a conversation, let me stimulate your mind. Might just put you up on game so you don't get left behind. Feel free to ask your questions, but please don't waste my time. Past, present, and future, we putting it on the floor. And if your ass wanna be judgmental, we can show you the door. We done all been through some shit, hell ain't nobody perfect. But this is why we look so graceful, walking in our purpose. Life is one big old journey, I done walked so many walks, seen and did so many things, that's why I talk my talk. We could learn your ass something if you listen. Attention. Walking like I talk it. I'm not perfect, but I'm flawless. Yeah. Gotta be in you, not just on you. I'm obeying my calling. Yeah. Walking like I talk it. I'm not perfect, but I'm flawless. Yeah. Gotta be in you, not just on you. I'm obeying my calling. I'm not perfect, but I'm flawless. Gotta be in you, not just on you. I'm obeying my calling. Walking like I talk it. I'm not perfect, but I'm flawless. Gotta be in you, not just on you. I'm obeying my calling. Walking like I talk it. I'm not perfect, but I'm flawless. Gotta be in you, not just on you. I'm obeying my calling.
Ooh, child. Break time.
We go. Well, tonight, I don't know. With the chain of events, you want to go with the same story, same stuff?
Yes, please turn the tables. I'm ready to get to the topic that's at hand. Hey, y'all. So, welcome to tonight's Walking Like You're Talking with Slim and Netra. I want to first start by apologizing.
Thank y'all.
Yes, I want to say I'm sorry to those that came over and experienced that. That is not why we're here. This is supposed to be an uplifting, different mood and live. We're supposed to have open discussions about different things, and that discussion really goes into last week's discussion. So I feel no type of way about it. Last week we talked about boundaries and toxicity and things that are toxic, whether it be relationships, friendships, jobs. So to me, that's a great example of me being toxic for somebody else. They cut me off, and it is what it is. That's how you should be in life. I'm not mad about it, nothing. So that just goes back to last week's conversation. This week's conversation, we are talking about leaving your children or trusting your children with individuals. Slim, I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to come on camera in just a second. I saw a story where a lady the other day left her child with a younger man. Hear me out. He got frustrated with the baby, and the people were on the internet stating that he threw that baby out. Or on the internet stating that he threw that baby
In the era where like, hey, it's no longer you making me suffer in silence. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's suffering in silence. People are actually speaking up and saying, hey, look, you did this to me and I didn't appreciate that. And you fucked me up with what you did. It's literally different now. That's the only difference is people are speaking up. It ain't staying in the house no more. People get on the internet. Right. They would talk. They would speak out. They would advocate for themselves. And that's probably one of the beautiful things about today. We actually starting to see that it's bad, but it's good. We realize it's a problem and we able to address the problem for real, instead of that. Now what happens in this house stays in this house. No, it's not that no more.
Mm-hmm. And the thing of it is, I feel like women, it's not about their kids. It's more about them and having a man up under them and not realizing what you bring in for yourself, you bring over your children. So at that moment, they don't even think about their kids. They just being selfish and thinking about their own fleshly desires and not their kids' safety at that point. You go out, you meet this man at the club, and then you bring him home the same night or 2 nights later. You don't know nothing about this person. And then you got kids that's in the next room. Then you fall asleep. You don't know what he's doing to your child while you sleep. Passed
But
out.
it's not only women, it's men too.
Yeah.
It's not only women. Men are rushing too. Let's talk about the single man that might be raising the child. He might too want somebody to help him raise that child and take some of that load off. So he too takes somebody in that home, and that woman don't be as nice. Cause stepmamas, some stepmamas or girlfriends, you heard that one earlier. They can talk harsh to your kids and treat your kids like boo-boo. And I'm gonna tell you something. I think the woman sometimes be worse than a man, because the undercover woman that really don't like your kids can be treacherous. In my mama voice, she can be very dangerous to your child. And so we have to really pay attention to that part too.
And I thank God for the way our mama raised us, because my mama dated all of my life as a young child. However, that man never spent one night in my mama's house. Whatever they did outside our home. I mean, we knew him, we were familiar with him, we were able to speak to him. But for him to be in our house, just sitting in the house up under us and spending nights, my mama didn't do that. We didn't spend the night at nobody else's house. We stayed at home. If anything, your kids can come stay over here with mine.
Thank y'all for the gifts. Right. That's good.
Thank you for the gifts.
Thank you.
We just have to take our time to get to know people instead of rushing. I understand we get lonely. We want to be in relationships, but take the time out to get to know that person and really know that person. Not just about what he tell you. It's best now to start asking the parents about that person that you're talking to, or they friends, because they know them better than what they telling you, so they can be able to tell you more about that person. I mean, you just have to do your own research. Just don't trust what a man or a woman is telling you. Just do your own research. See who you hang around with and how they feel about him and what type of person they say he may be before you just go to bringing these people around your children, because he could have done something to somebody else's kid and they didn't say nothing or get him in trouble with the police, but they may just be able to say, hey, you might not want to trust him around your kid because he did, get out the way or say something, and then that gives you a head up about that person.
I think it's this is one of the reasons why I like when it comes to some of these situations, I'll be like, hey man, people need to start getting to know themselves, right? Because a lot of times you be seeing the red flags that was there, but you're unable to be able to acknowledge them. You constantly question yourself and question your own judgment. Like, am I tripping? Am I tripping? When you know what you're seeing. And that being the
you
case,
know what you're saying. You just at that moment when you know you're seeing something and you turn a deaf ear or a blind eye to it, once again it goes back to your own selfishness about what you want at that moment, not about the safety of their kid at that moment. Oh, I just need somebody to be up under, and I'm just using these as example. Somebody to be up under me for tonight. I don't want to be lonely. I just want this man here. I know I'm picking up on something ain't right, but I'm still willing to take a chance, and that chance is a chance that may just get your child
in the
taken
situation.
advantage of.
That's why, like, I don't trust my kid going to daycare. I said that earlier, but I don't trust my kids going to daycare before they can talk. Cause I remember my little boy, he went to daycare at one point in time, and we dropped him off one day. We tried to pick him back up, and he was like, no, he wouldn't get out the car. So I drove up there to the little daycare, tried to get him to go inside. He would not let go of my neck. And I wasn't gonna force him to go inside because evidently something happening to him that he don't agree with. And he was able to talk. He told me, he said, man, they hit me on my butt. You know what I'm saying? It's funny now
Mhm.
looking back, but it's just the way he talked. But he was like, they hit me on my butt. Witch, you know what I'm saying? Mean lady, mean lady. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And me, like, after going through that one time, I don't play that, you know what I'm saying, unless you could actually, like, until my kids
Well,
can talk, I don't let them out my sight. And
and see, I had a woman lose her job because my granddaughter came and told me how they're biracial kids, so they real light skinned, and she had scratches on her hand. And I asked her what happened because she was just in Head Start, and so she was like, "The teacher." I said, "The teacher." I said, "Well, you're about to fall or something," and she tried to grab you maybe, and she was like, "No." She told me I was being bad, so she grabbed my hand and she twisted it. So me, I was upset at the beginning, but I was like, okay, it's two sides to every story. I'm just gonna go to the school, check it out. So I asked the teacher to explain to me what happened, leading up to the point where she felt like she needed to take my granddaughter's hand and place her fingernails into her skin to get her to stop from doing what she was doing. And so she was like, well, it was an accident, my fingernails long. So I asked her, can I demonstrate it on her? Let me see if you get the feeling that my grandchild get. Let me grab your hand and place my fingernails in there to get you to calm down for a moment. And so I just ran it through the chain of command and had her job taken.
yeah, see, that's why I don't let my kid go nowhere. I ain't gonna be no chain of command. I'm finna be judge, jury, and
Yeah.
executioner.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The person I used to be wanted to put hands on her. But because it was other children around, I had to just remember it's other kids around. You can't act like this over these babies. And I mean, I just took the legal steps and had her terminated.
That's beautiful. You still would have had a kid. Man, I remember somebody. My mom was getting her hair braided, and the little girl, the baby girl that they had and they has scratched my little boy in the face. And I had just told him, don't be hitting little girls. Know what I'm saying? He ain't understand the difference of like hit their ass back, feel me? Because I
Mhm.
would definitely teach that shit. Hey, don't let nobody abuse you, feel me? Hit back. But I had just told him that because he was a little boy, and then we had a little baby girl over, and he was like a little jealous, you know what I'm saying? And that shit happened. I swear I pulled up to the spot. I said, hey, look, when you finish getting your hair done, know what I'm saying? Beat the mama up. I don't give a damn. Okay, I can't do nothing to the child, but somebody got to pay for this little dude getting scratches all in his face. I don't care. I told her, hey man, go ahead, line the mama up, and if the daddy in there, I want to look at him too. Yeah, I don't touch my kids. Don't touch my kids. I don't got no understanding for that shit, none whatsoever. Because them kids don't be doing nothing to nobody. They be being children. Know what I'm saying? Like if you think that is okay to just be like to harm another child because of whatever the fuck you can't regulate your motherfucking emotions. Yeah, I don't got no understanding. None
I
whatsoever.
feel you. And I've seen instances in this little small town that I'm in, women that have kids and they date these boys, and these boys come into their homes and feel like they can just chastise their kids. And I'm like, wait a minute, y'all only been talking about 30 days. He don't even know your kids like that to be handling your kids like that. And I, as a mother, just don't get it. I mean, I'm married. Neither one of my kids is my husband's kids. And it took me a while to let down because I was so used to being that person that did it all, discipline and chastising. It was hard for me to relinquish some of that responsibility over to my husband because I never had that male figure to be there with me with my kids. So When it came down to it, it was a learning process for me as well as it was for him. And so, but my husband came into this marriage understanding my hiccups, so he knew about how to go about doing things when it came. He'd be like, "Hey, your kids out here doing such and such," because he knew I didn't want him raising his voice at him or hitting on him and stuff like that. But it took us years to get to the place where, okay, these are your children, you're raising them. You know, you have the right to, discipline, chastise, or however that people want to use the word. And and my marriage has been A1, and my kids love him like that, like he's their biological father. But I know everybody don't get what I have here.
Thanks.
Some kids get a worse step parent, mother or father that they have to deal with and have to be afraid of and cry every night going to sleep. So as parents, and all I say is single parents, married parents, just be wise about who you put over your kids, because that person will have an impact on your child's life, and it could be a positive one or it could be a negative one. If your child seem like they just antisocial or not socializing, when this person is around, you might want to take your child off somewhere and conversate with them and see what's going on when you're not around. You just have to be aware of the what's the word I'm using for, of the signs that there's something going on that's not right.
But that's another thing though. You shouldn't be like I've gotten to the point where I don't just consider family people that I share blood with. If I don't feel like you love me, I ain't letting you around my kids.
Period.
Because most of the time, these people that be doing that shit, they be showing you little shit. Like if you invite a man or a woman into your life and you don't believe that that man or woman loves you enough to love
Why bring them
everything that
around your
comes
kids?
with you, you should not be bringing them around. If they ain't been trying to interact and build a relationship with the child, knowing that you come with children out the gate, yeah, it's no need for them to even be getting involved. Know what I'm saying? Like coming into your
Mhm.
household where your children gonna be at all the time. If y'all don't start out and smile, little, let me see how you act when I bring the child around. Let me see this. Let me see that. I don't think you should even be bringing that child around that person, because how you lay down with somebody that don't love your kids?
Exactly.
Good evening,
And
panel. How you guys doing?
good
We done all
evening.
right.
I don't know, like if somebody was next or whatever. I just wanted to piggyback off of big girlfriend's comment. So I don't know if somebody was next because I don't want to
Oh,
interrupt. So I'll just wait.
yeah,
Shauna
poetically.
is next. Yes, Shauna was up here first. So after Shauna, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't even realize I was up there, guys.
Oh, okay, Shauna. I dropped you. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Queen Tasha.
Yeah. So I just popped in, and it's just amazing that you were talking about something that I'm really actually going through right now. And I'm glad my kids are really not on TikTok like that because I wouldn't really discuss any situations like this. But I'm going through that right now, whereas my granddaughter was, being sexually assaulted by by my daughter's fiance, but it wasn't her father. It was my other granddaughter's father. So, but I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong because my granddaughter was very clingy to me. She's very clingy. So when I started coming around, and she just was just very like not not she's just bubbly and very sociable and everything, and just her whole demeanor, like the week before I had found out, it was just weird. And I mentioned something about it, and they were just saying, oh, she's at the age because she's 10, and I'm sorry, but she just wasn't as up under me like she usually is. So I was just like, what's wrong? You okay? Whatever. And of course, she said, yeah, I'm okay or whatever. And comes to find out this was going on or whatever. It's just I just piggybacking. Like if you see a change of uh I don't even know how to say it, but if you see a change of of a child's the way they usually act or what they do or how they usually are. Just yes, pay attention. It's so important. It's so very important. Even though I did see the change and I mentioned it, it didn't, change the situation or anything because she ended up changing behavior. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Empress, for that. And Empress, I text you about something just so you know. Definitely pay attention, y'all. Definitely pay attention. Like she's not around me like she used to. So maybe we can say maybe ifs, ands, or buts, or whatever the case may be. But until the child speaks out, or or you found out for sure, it's nothing really you can do because I did notice. But what do you say? What do like? What do you do? Like I definitely mentioned the change of behavior, but it was nothing I could do after finding out that it went on. You know what I mean? Like so, I just this point I just feel so freaking
Have y'all
helpless and
pressed
so.
charges?
Oh, of course. We pressed charges and he's in jail right now, but they're trying to get him out of jail because of her age. It's so hard. These things are so hard to prove at a certain age. It's so hard. And but he's not, as far as we're making sure he doesn't get out of fucking jail. That's for sure. But it's just very hard to prove and like, you know, it's just like little details that just keep coming into play that's taking this forever,
I'm
taking
sorry
this
you
really
had to go
forever.
through that, mama. I'm sorry you had to experience that. I don't wish it
It's
on
horrible.
nobody. I mean, that's some foul
It's
shit.
this horrible feeling and you feel helpless. You felt helpless, like my baby. Like everybody always thinks like, yo, not my child, not this, not that, not this. You just never know, so don't ever think that. And I ride hard for my family. My family's close. So just to know that this happened to my granddaughter is just eating me alive every day. And I'm trying to stay strong for my family, but it is eating me completely alive every single day.
We had
Every
a
day.
conversation about this one day. You can't blame yourself for what you didn't know, baby. And I know that's the part. And I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. Because I always say I probably would feel guilty and it would eat me up, even if I had no control over what was going on or anything. But the main
Right.
thing is you can't keep beating yourself up. At least when you found out, you took action.
Oh,
And I know that's
definitely.
still hard. That's still a hard reality to actually come.
It really is. It really is, and you know, people just and don't get me wrong, I pay any attention to what people say, whatever, but because you get tired of like, oh, if that had been me, if that should have been me, oh, y'all must have missed something. Everybody always has something to say, and they don't know. So I'm just saying to everybody, like, like I said, to piggyback back off of big girlfriends, just comment, just like, just pay attention to the behaviors or whatever. At some point, you can't really, you know, do anything, but you can't say something, speak up about it. You see something different, speak up about it. Just talk about it. Talk as much as possible. Just bring things out because it's important. It's important. And, luckily my baby girl, she seems okay, but you just never know how it affects you later. We already got her, talking to somebody and getting her help as much as possible. But it's not but so much you can do at this point. You know what I mean? So
That was going to be my question. Had you guys got help for the daughter, so she doesn't have to deal with it later in life? And sometimes they still do, but a lot of times it's not dealt with when they're young. So I'm glad that she got help at her young age.
yeah, it's my granddaughter. So I had to get help for my daughter and my granddaughter. My daughter, she's she blames the world on herself. Like she just feels like completely like shit, like most parents would tend to do. When something happens to their child and they could they feel helpless or whatever the case may be. But so my daughter is getting help. I'm going more crazy for my daughter than my granddaughter. Like she's losing it. She's really losing it. She's gotten better. Don't get me wrong. Since she's getting the help that she needs as well. But it's just, oh my God, it's just and it's crazy because I just popped in on this conversation and just hearing y'all talk about this. It's just I needed to just say something. Something. I didn't know exactly what I was gonna say, but I just hit the request button and just said I gotta say something. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. No, but again, I'm sorry you're having to deal with that right now. And I
Thank you.
feel sorry for the child because no child should ever have to deal with no shit like that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And I'm praying for you because I've been where your granddaughter is. I know it's not easy. It happened to me at the age of 9. I
Me
had to
as
live
well.
with it. I had to deal with it, but I had a good support system. My mama did everything she needed to do, and y'all did all the right things. Y'all got it through the police. Your daughter's getting help, and the baby's getting help. And
Yes.
y'all just be there for her the best that y'all can. And I mean, she's young, and coming from me, don't take it the wrong way. When they're that young, they tend to not forget about it, but life
Right.
just tends to go on. They tend to play, and it'll
Right.
be certain times where, like, if certain things, if they see some on TV, where it may make them cringe or something like that,
Yeah.
and then you just have to just be there for them to talk them through that or ask them what made them feel like that at that moment. Was it something that they saw?
Right.
It's just like a 20 question type thing, but yeah, you've done everything right in order to get the help that your family needs. And I just want you to know I'll be praying for y'all like crazy because it's not easy. You do have a long, long journey ahead of you, but just trust and believe she's gonna be all right. Your daughter's gonna be all right. I'm all right. So therefore, I know the same God that helped me will be there to help you and your family.
Absolutely. I've been through it as well. So I know this is, and I think this is why I get so broken up and like just so angry because the shit just keeps happening, in different families, not just mine. And just, it's just so frustrating, and I'm tired of, people not saying anything, not saying anything. And I understand why some don't get me wrong, but it's just like, we got to speak out. We got to speak out. At some point, this has got to stop.
And like he Slim said earlier, back in the day, stuff was don't say
Yes,
nothing. Sneak up on the carpet.
exactly.
Now the resources we have with social media, people are speaking up and speaking out, and that's the best thing you can do is to bring awareness to these pedophiles.
Exactly.
Because not mentioning the name, he could just go on somewhere else and lay up with somebody else and be over somebody else's kids. But when you bring exposure to these people, put the name to the tears, then that helps another family. We have to learn that we're not just protecting our families, we're protecting another family when we expose these people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
so
here it is now, cycle because here it is now. My daughter, he was the breadwinner. He was paying the bills. She was taking care of my 2 grandkids. Now he's locked up. Here it is. She's got to take care of 2 kids, and no help. It's she's got the support, but financially it's hard. So now it's like you know, everybody's putting themselves in a bind trying to help her, and I've done shit to help her to like put me in a bind. It's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle, and I'm just praying every day. I pray so hard every
and let
day.
your daughter know it is not her fault, and let your granddaughter know it's
Yeah,
not her fault. It's
yeah,
nobody's fault but the person who did what they did to
right.
somebody's innocence and to break somebody's trust in them. You
Hold
You
on,
know
know,
hold on.
how?
I want to interrupt real quick to address something. I know y'all see Rick's comments down there, and I think y'all kind of clearly fuck. I hate these kind of conversations, but I think y'all missing it. She's speaking from a child. She's speaking from the child's place of somebody that it actually happened to,
Right.
and she's not trying to be rude or blame the parent. That's somebody crying out at the exact same time. Hold on, Reese. I got you. I don't
Go
think she's
ahead.
trying to blame the parent, but like even the child, that's what fucks up the child the most is because they look to their child, they look to their parents to protect them. And if you're a child that had to go through that shit, you feel like your parent failed you.
Exactly. Like the way my heart pumping right now, I promise y'all, like I'm not trying to be mean,
You just
but like I
triggered
feel
right
like
now.
Yeah, like, cause I just don't understand, like, how the signs are there. Like, I went from being happy to being angry all the time. That's stuff that it's certain stuff that you're just supposed to notice with your child. And
But
I feel like it's not me so much blaming them for it happening, but to an extent, technically the negligence behind being in tune with your child is more so what I'm saying.
but
And that's a
I would
hard pill to
also say
swallow,
this.
and I get it.
Negligence. I don't know what your situation was.
Oh
And
Hold on,
my
hold on, hold on,
God.
hold
I'm
on.
not,
'Cause I
I'm
don't want
not,
y'all to
I'm
get
not
into it. I don't
speaking
want y'all to
towards
get into
you.
it. Hold on,
no,
real quick.
I'm not getting into it. I'm
Now I
just,
know. I just need you to please pause for me. Please
I'm
pause for
making
me.
a
I want to keep it.
generalized
I want to
statement.
keep
I'm
it. I
not
want to keep
speaking
it
towards your
peaceful. Cause like,
situation because I'm not in your household. I don't know what y'all got going on
hold on, look,
besides what you getting up here
Reese,
saying.
can you understand this though? And this one reason why I'm super protective over my children, right? And I don't let them out my sight. The way that it ends up happening, a lot of time, man, you get carried, like, think about it. The mama got to take care of the house. The daddy, they doing all of this extra shit. And sometimes you get caught up in trying to manage and balance everything out there. Some shit just happens. Something gets neglected. And then oftentimes it is the child. It's not intentional.
Okay, but
It's not
that
intentional.
still doesn't make it right though.
No,
That's
I'm
the
not
thing.
saying that it's right. Listen to me clearly. I would never say that it's okay, right? But it's easy to happen. And right now, I know you got that anger and aggression, and I pray to God you never find yourself in such a situation. But it's always easy. Looking back, hindsight is 20/20. But until you in certain shoes, you never really know if you will make the same mistake. You might be looking for all these other signs and then it show up. And I'm not wishing it on you. I'm just saying, like, in general, sometimes we look back and we be like, man, I would have saw this and I would have saw this and I would have saw this. And it could, the whole situation could be totally different. And you miss it still.
But see, Slim, that's the thing. Like, I can't even say like that. That's just something, and I'ma stand like 10 toes on it. That shit will never happen under my nose. G, like I'm too in tune with my child. G, like me saying like, and I hate that. Like, it's not so much like neglect and abandonment wounds can come from a parent being in the household. You don't have to just be physically away. You could not be in tune with your child mentally for shit like this to happen as well. I just don't I don't get it, G.
Maybe you're not supposed to get it, and I understand you speaking from a place of the child.
Y'all saying never say never, and I'm saying never.
I don't even want you to address that because you speaking from the place of the child. But I'm just being real with you, and it's something that you probably still need to deal with. Like, you might need to go to therapy for it because
I'm in therapy. I promise you, I am in therapy for real. And I literally, it's crazy because I literally just rehashed this conversation with my mama like a week ago, and the sign, like, it just be the signs are there, dog. Like, the signs be there.
I got you. I'm just telling you, it's never. A lot of times until you in the shoes on the other side, you never really understand it. And I know that sucks. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want you to be in those shoes to have to find that the hard way. But it definitely, sometimes there is signs, but it's so much shit that's going on. It's so much shit that's going on. Depending on how your household ran, depending on what's going on, a lot of shit takes place, and nobody's perfect. I hate that this shit even a conversation, but nobody's perfect. And I'm not trying to silence you. I'm not trying to silence you. I'm not trying to silence you. I'm not trying to invalidate you. I get how you feel like you should, because it's really just the inner child and you like, damn, somebody should have saw it.
It's not even just that. The way that sounds to a person that didn't been through that, like, the least you could do, like, it's not even placing blame. The least you could do is just take accountability for just not noticing certain shit. That'd be the first thing a motherfucker won't do. They won't sit there and just take accountability to their child to be like, oh,
but that lady did though.
I'm sorry. I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not speaking on her. I'm just speaking in a general like aspect. Like, it's a lot of people out here where shit like that happen and then life just goes on. You don't try to apologize for your mistake or none of that shit. Like, that shit's weird.
Yes. I went through the same experience. My mother still to this very day will not take accountability. I'll be 57 this year and my mom will be 80 and she has not taken accountability. And I had to come to the point to say she's never going to take accountability. it happened. She didn't pay attention. I have to let the anger go. And it took a long time. It took a lot of therapy, but I had to let the anger go because I had to for my own sanity, because she didn't do her part. And she may be ate up with so much guilt that she can't take accountability, but it's absolutely fine. She's still my mother. I still love her. She will never accept the things that she allowed to happen to her daughters. And I have to live with that. And she has to live with it, but I bet it eat her up more than it eats me up. So we
Yeah.
have to get to a point where we can mentally be able to have a discussion. If the parent can't have that discussion with you and they can't accept that, okay. We have to be better for ourselves though, and be better for our daughters. I always was afraid of that with my daughter too. My daughter now is 34. So I understand exactly how you feel. I was angry for a long time at my mom, and I could never get my mom to accept accountability. And even today at 80, she still will not. And I just have to live with that is her truth and just be okay with it.
Mhm.
But I
So,
understand the anger, and I'm not invalidating that. I totally understand it.
yeah. So, Poetic, can we speak to the growing or the not even misdiagnosed, but nobody talks about the children who were essayed by other children, and that's me. On 3 separate occasions in 3 different parts of the city where, my mother had moved us to Chicago, I was essayed by children. None of my abuse in that way came from adults. All of my essay abuse came from other children. And I think that needs to be an awareness that needs to come out too, because not all of the time it comes from an adult. Mine, from the time I was 5 to 12, with 3 different groups of children in 3 different neighborhoods, did that to me. And I had put it in the back of my mind that I made myself forget. And it wasn't until I had started to write my memoirs and get into therapy and do shadow work, because I remember being 6 and my oldest sister, who is 8 years older than me, I remember her fighting those children. So we were cooking Sunday dinner not long ago, and I'll be 53. So you can see how much time had passed. And we were cooking dinner maybe a couple of months ago, and I asked her, I said, did this really happen to me? And she said, yes, it did. So there's a population of us who were not essayed or raped by adults. This happened to me again on 3 separate occasions in 3 different neighborhoods in the city of Chicago at the hands of my peers. I'm not talking about just, how boys want to feel on your butt and stuff. I'm talking about penetration. I'm talking about orgasms. I'm talking about all of that. From the time I was 5 until maybe like the age of 12. So it's not always adults that do this. It's children that violate other children as well. So yeah, I just, wanted to say that that's what I'm dealing with right now.
And before Mike goes, I want to say real quick about the shadow work books. If you guys are going to do the shadow work books, and they even offer them on TikTok, make sure that you have an outlet, meaning you have a therapist, you have someone that you can talk to, because
Yes,
you may be unlocking, you may be unlocking things that you had no idea that you were suppressing. And so when you get ready to do those books, make sure that you have someone to talk to, because 9 times out of 10, what happens if you don't? You unlock all of this knowledge, and then what do you do with it? You're very.
That's exactly what happened to me, Poetic. And actually, I created a shadow work journal for teachers, and it gets really heavy. And that's one of my disclaimers when I do the work with them. So, yeah, and I had suppressed it all those years, and it came out through therapy and through shadow work that I had to validate if this was even true through my sister.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it opens up memories that you didn't know were there. Mike, you can go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Poetic. I just want to say, first of all, I'd like to thank Slim for opening his space up to have a conversation like this. Um, and I know it can be triggering for some, right? And but this is conversation that needs to be had in our community because it happens too often, unfortunately, to people who don't deserve it. And um, you know, at the end of the day, I think that it's unfortunate that um all of you women who had to experience that have to deal with that and live with that for the rest of y'all life. Um, it's sad. It makes me sad, and it hurts me that um, you all had to experience that, and it's not cool. You know, and everybody has know somebody who has done something to somebody. It's it is a hard conversation to have.
Thank you.
Welcome to the family.
Thank you, excuse me. I'm
Um,
sorry.
it's a hard conversation to have, and even with my own family, things have happened in my family, um, and it's hard to forgive when you hear things happen to people that you love in your family, you know. But at the end of the day, um, all you can do is hope that that person gets the proper therapy, prayer, whatever they need to get through that situation, get through it, and continue to live their life respectfully and with peace and letting go and being prosperous in their life, in their individual life. So,
As a
um,
as a person, as a male that went through that shit, bro. Because I think we oftentimes don't like. I remember when my situation happened on the app, and I had spoke to it, and it was, man, you never believe how many DMs I got from how many other men that went through that shit. Cause it happened by like the one situation that came to that with my cousin, male cousin. It was his sister. It was another cousin. That the girls, like we young, we thinking that we doing something, but like they really like robbing you of your innocence, bro. And it fuck you up. Like I was hypersexual for a long time, confused for a while. Like, man, that shit hit everybody different. I know some people. I had a friend that was on here. Um, when he spoke about it, he said it actually made him hate his own part of that part of his body, and he's having by a
mm,
woman because he felt unclean, like he was violated. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens a lot to a lot of different people in all types of different ways. So
yeah,
it's not just I think it's an issue that we have to, even us as men, bro, we gotta make spaces where men could actually speak up and feel comfortable by speaking up. Cause that should be hurting a lot of us. And sometimes it creates these women hating men, you know what I'm saying? Cause they don't never get a chance
correct.
to speak. They never get a chance to voice it. They no matter what you told that you a little boy and you thinking like, yeah, I got me some coochie, but that little boy is feeling like, man, nah, you took advantage of me. I didn't even
Hmm.
know what I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't supposed to see this shit at this time. And
Yeah, because I'm
go
sorry
ahead.
for cutting you off, Slim, but they are predatory women as well that prey on young men.
Shit, they
You
need to
know,
even like look, when I say it's full circle, bro, it be full circle. Them women be preying on the girls too.
hmm
It
yeah,
happens in all kinds of weird ways. It don't just be the little boys that they go after because it's women. It's not always it be some same sex shit going on too. Like
yep.
it's fucked up. It's fucked up. I hate that it's a reality that we have to live with, but yeah.
And
You
it,
muted poetic.
this is a very tough conversation. But Slim, I appreciate you for opening up your panel and letting people come up and feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to share their story. So, people out there know that, they're not by themselves. They're not the only person that experienced this. So this is great dialogue, great conversation. Unfortunately, we should not be talking about this, but we are. But it helps people get through their trauma that they went through. When it comes to tragic
We were talking about keeping our kids safe, and you think of all the ways that you can do that, and okay, unless my child can talk, I wholeheartedly agree with that. But this happened to a 12-year-old. I sent the story to Miss.Netra and Slim. The guy had drugged the daughters. It was a 12-year-old daughter. She had 4 people come over to stay all night with her, 4 of her friends. So these girls are all 12 years old. He gave them Valium, Xanax, and Clonopin. So it drugged the girls, but one of the girls didn't drink the smoothie. And then when the other girls were kind of weird, slurring their words, she called her mom. So one of the 5 did not get any of the drugs. And he only got 2 years, but who knows what would have happened to those children. So it's important that we keep our children safe, know who we're sitting, whose house we're sending them to, because we don't know what will happen at somebody else's house. And a 12-year-old daughter, I'm thinking, okay, she's safe. She's there with 4 other daughters, and I've met these parents and things like that. But it can happen to any of us at any time. Charm, you were next.
Yeah, I was gonna talk a little bit about. I have a little cold about workforce bullying. I had a director who just bullied me for 28 years on the job. 28 years of just being bullied. You go to labor relations and it's like they did nothing. And it wasn't just me, it was a bunch of other women. I'm gonna keep it short. I guess when I walked out with a peace of mind and knowing that God was going to take care of me. Everybody in that department expected me to go to the labor relations and to help them out, but they stuck with it. I think you need to set boundaries on your job. When you feel you're being bullied, don't sit there and take that. You got to fight back. It's not just sexual bullying, it's not just different things, but when it comes to a director who's constantly, I've been doing the job for 30 years, so something I did right if I was there for 30 years. But this is a guy who walked into the position 2 years and just bullied all the staff. A lot of them stayed, and I walked out. Um, I want to say that workforce bullying, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I was strong enough to walk out. I had great family support. I had made enough money where I felt like I can take care of myself, and that's with a county hospital. I'm not going to say the name on here, but workforce bullying is a real thing, and I just wanted to know if anybody had any thoughts on it.
Charm, that is not our topic tonight. I apologize. We're trying to stick to the topic, and so that the other people can come up and talk about the topic that have children that went through this or experiencing this or have knowledge of this. So I do apologize, but we can have that topic another night if you would like.
Okay. I thought y'all were talking about all bullies, all different
No. We
things.
were talking about children and how we leave our children, where we leave our children and stuff like that.
But you can come back another night and we can have that topic openly. So we would want to go to Shani, I think is next, and then just me.
What?
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna buy 1 second. My sis just came by.
Okay. Did just be
There.
me?
In here.
Oh.
I'll come back to you and go to just me.
It is a good topic.
All
It
right,
just
thank
wasn't
you.
the time for it tonight. That's all. And we weren't trying to. Oh, just being me say drop.
Yeah, I wasn't being rude. I promise.
Good evening.
Hey, Rose.
Okay, Rose, you can go ahead since just me dropped.
Oh, child, I love a good little conversation shit, child. Just to lighten the just lighten the mood up a little bit. I'm just coming here for a quick little break. Can you guys tap the screen? Can we get to 140K taps? And can y'all complete the gift goal? We're only 5 hand hearts away. Thank y'all for sharing a live. I also want to say that this is a very heavy conversation. I'm sure there's a whole lot of empaths in the chat, a whole lot of people who are a little emotionally sensitive right now to this conversation due to past traumas, situations, and circumstances. So release the energy. Okay, release it. Don't hold it. Don't harbor it, because sometimes we hear stories and we hear certain things and then we find ourselves holding on to it. And then it affects our day. It'll affect how we sleep tonight. It'll affect us throughout our entire work week. And tomorrow's Monday, right? So release the energy that you're feeling. Reset if you have to. If you need to walk away from the phone for a second, do that. Protect your mental health, protect your emotions, protect your heart, because the conversation is extremely heavy. Okay. And even if you think that you're strong enough, you can still reset. It's okay. You're not going to miss anything. You can walk away from the phone, turn it down, get you some water, come back. It's okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Rose. Okay, Shamie, it's on you.
Is it okay?
Okay, thank you. It's Shamika.
Oh, Shamika, I apologize.
It's okay. Um, just I also am a victim or a survivor, I should say, um, of being assaulted. Um, as my earliest memory would be in diapers, but as I was listening to uh, Big Girl, Miss, and the lady that was on here about her grandchild, I was sent to the family of a man that had raped my mom.
You gotta say grape or SA, baby. You can't say that word.
Raped. I'm sorry.
GRA.
Raped or
Grape.
yeah, great. Like yeah, that had the same thing had happened to my mom by a different family member of the family member that did it to me when I was in diapers. And just today, I realized like I don't hold no animosity, no nothing toward my mom because for a long time, like and it happened to me later in life and she never disclosed that to me, but she had told my younger sisters. Um, and now that I look at it, like my youngest daughter is 19 tomorrow, and she does not leave my house. She doesn't get. She's never spent. She didn't spend the night like through school with other kids. Um, she could go and do parties and all that and come back. It is so imperative. Right now, I am a certified behavioral health assistant, and the number of children that I see come through the doors of my facility that have what some I can't remember who was actually talking about that it was not it wasn't um adults, it was peers that that it happened to them. That's called sexual maladaptive behavior, and it happens, and it makes us so numb to so many things. The hyper is a numbness. The hypo is a numbness. You don't know what a normal, healthy lifestyle in that area is for a long time unless you get the help. And it is a topic, and it's still something that happens all the time. I wish that people that ended up getting convicted will get, can I say, C straighted?
We understand
Because that would keep because that because it would keep them from becoming repeat offenders. I heard someone tell me that they had a conversation with somebody and they said, well, it doesn't take the impure thoughts away. Well, I can deal with a thought sometime more than an action because your thoughts can't do that to my child.
But thoughts turn into actions. I know like most people, it's something off in a person's head that think that that's okay or to be minor attracted in any shape, form, or fashion. It's something off with a person that think that way.
And
Yeah.
women do the same thing to little boys. So women, you know, they don't have that to remove, and they do the same thing to little boys.
Well, they have. It can be. You can be. Women can be too.
But even if you did that, that doesn't remove them using something, doesn't remove the mouth.
That is true.
It's a lot of things that you have to consider when you think about that. But like you were talking about, you have that memory as young as when you were in diapers. So, you know, we're trying to really figure out how, you know, we're talking about how we protect our children. And sometimes our children may not always tell us what is going on. But like you said, I do want to say that sometimes people become hypersexual. And when they become hypersexual, it's because of a trauma. Slim said it earlier. And sometimes they're trying to go back to a place where they were happier at, which was before that trauma. So they're jumping in and out of bed with people. And it's men and women that do this.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
is so
literally
true.
them trying to take their power back from a time where they felt powerless. And the
Yes.
part that the crazy part is the justice system. Me going into the justice system and watching this shit. I remember it was a dude, man. This man was 70 years old, and this was his like third time offending. And he literally was talking about, man, hopefully I can get 10 years. You know, people in my family live a long time, and I can get back at. They literally give those people multiple chances. And it's gotten to the point to where they almost protect them at the exact same time, because like in Texas, they have whole facilities like they can be on the same unit as us, but they don't go to lunch with us, they don't go to child, they don't really work in the same places as us. They protect them because at one point in time, once you find out, we find out you got that in your paperwork, your ass out of here. Nobody letting you walk. And now they protect them even more. And they give them lighter consequences. It's something that I feel like you should because you just robbed the child of their their innocence. You pretty much took their life from them.
Exactly. And we living in a day and time now where we have to start talking to our kids about this in elementary school. And it's sad that you have to teach your kids at the age of 3, 4, and 5 when they can understand their, hey, like we say, the square. You know, don't nobody touch you within this square but your mommy or your daddy. But now it's got to be, don't nobody touch you here, period, especially if it makes you feel uncomfortable, if they're not touching you a proper way. You just have to start telling your kids, because kids gonna be kids. They gonna go to school. It's happening at the schoolhouses. It's not just happening at home. It's happening at the church houses. So you have to prepare your kids for when they're at school, going to the bathrooms. Hey, if somebody come in there and they touch you here, they're not supposed to do this. And we have to give our kids the tools that they need in order to know how to protect themselves. Because some kids don't even know that they're not supposed to be touched, because parents don't know what age they need to tell them, or if it's okay, will they understand. Even if they don't understand, start just putting it in them, just like you teach them the ABCs and how to walk and talk. Just drill it in them. Hey, don't nobody touch you here. Don't nobody make you feel like this. And I tell my grandkids, don't be afraid to tell it. If somebody tell you they're gonna do something to me or your sisters or something, they're lying. Don't be afraid to tell it. Make
Before,
your
before
Oh,
you
I'm
go,
sorry.
Loved, I wanted to reiterate what she was saying. It's important to teach the children at a young age, teach them what their body parts are, teach them which parts of their body are private and should not be touched. So sometimes well, my parents used to not tell us about a lot of things. They didn't even tell us about, you know, intimacy, nothing like that. So we have to actually teach our children at young ages, you know, that their body parts are theirs and which ones, like she said, should not be touched. Okay, most love, you can go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Slim?
Sure, bro.
Hey, RN. Hey, Rose. Hey, big girl. Netra, everybody. What's up? I I thought I was ready for this topic, y'all. I'm not. I'm gonna be up here for support, more support, y'all. This is a touchy one here. I'll be up here for more support. Appreciate y'all holding the conversation.
If you feel uncomfortable, just know you're not alone. I'm a person that went through the same shit, but I'm not trying to force you
Exactly.
to talk. I'm just letting you know as a man, I didn't admitted it, had it, know what I'm saying? Got drugged for it, all kinds of shit. But you're not alone, bro. and there's plenty of
And
men,
it don't
some that are
feel
in the
good
room right
talking
now.
about it.
You when I had went through that situation where that shit happened, I made a video. I took the video down because I didn't like the attention it was going. It was damn near viral. But not I was really just trying to address a small crowd of people that heard it. But by me putting that video out, man, you would be surprised how many men actually get to come to terms to not feel alone, because we don't talk about it as much as women do. Women, and I'm not saying that it is. I think it's more because it's like we talk that if it happened to us at a early age by an older woman, you supposed to celebrate it. It's like you a man now,
Mm-hmm.
versus when versus if it happened by a man to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of people that have went through it.
It makes you question your sexual identity when a man does it to a man. And even though it makes him feel like, man, because this man took this from me, does that mean I'm this way because he did this? No, that doesn't identify you. It's just a sick individual that took advantage of an innocent kid. And I mean, I done got to the point where I can openly talk about what happened to me, but it used to be a point where I was ashamed of what happened to me. I would cry all the time when I would even hear about it or see it on the TV, because I was holding all that in because I was ashamed to speak up and to speak out. But I found more relief and felt lighter the more I spoke to other people about it and started sharing my story with other people. And like you said, Slim, that's when I realized, shoot, I'm not the only person out here that's going through this. That felt like because they was great, that okay, now I'm not supposed to like men, I'm supposed to like women because this man did this to me. I mean, I had a battle with sexual identity for a while. I didn't know if I wanted to be with a woman or wanted to be with a man, because at one point in my life I did not like men because of what happened to me. I mean, because every time I was penetrated, I felt like I was being raped all over again. I had to get help, and it's okay to get help. And once I got the help and the tools that I needed to help me, then I was able to help somebody else.
Thank you. Go ahead, Riz.
If you wanted to chime back in, I hope you're okay over there.
I am. My fault, y'all. My son. I'm way calmer now. I had to give me a second because my son he crying. So give me a minute.
Okay. And to piggyback off of what Big Sis said, talking about big girl. I'm sorry, it's big girl. Talking
Okay.
about intimacy. So intimacy, when you do become intimate with people, and sometimes that's triggering. If you have not dealt with it, it would be triggering. Sometimes you feel ashamed. You may feel dirty. You may feel like something's wrong. You may feel it's inappropriate. You may have all kind of emotions because you're dealing with this now. As adults, because of what had happened as a child. So it's important that I just can't keep stressing enough. It's important that you get that help to be able to have healthy intimacy with your partner, because it does affect marriages. And so until that person has actually dealt with it, it's going to always affect their marriage. So you do have to actually deal with it.
I was in a relationship one time where, well, we was playing, and you know how that shit happened. You know what I'm saying? We playing, we roughhousing each other, and then we went there, and she just had a memory, and she got shocked, and I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" But she actually told me, and I was way younger and way more. I ain't understand. I was like, "You should know I'm not trying to do nothing to you." That, know what I'm saying? But she was like, "No, it's not you. It's just the way that we was playing. This actually happened to me, and I didn't know it was gonna even like." She was in the moment. We was both having fun, and you know what I'm saying, being grown. But yeah, it triggered her in such a way, and I was like, "Damn!" So I know it. The triggers live on for a long period of time, and if you don't get help.
And when you don't get help, those triggers and those stressors actually live in your body, and it becomes inflammation, becomes heart disease, becomes high blood pressure, becomes diabetes. When you don't deal with a lot of
He's still talking, but I don't know if he went mute or he's still going real good.
What
Slim,
happened?
we can't hear you.
Y'all didn't hear me just now?
No, not for a while.
you talked about the girl, and then you talked about what she went through.
Oh yeah.
Were you talking after that?
Yeah, nah, I
Yeah, it
wasn't saying
faded
anything.
out after that.
I
Well,
wasn't
I
saying
think you
anything, so I
still
had stopped.
talking, but
Oh,
yeah.
so you were done?
Yeah, I had pause.
Oh, okay. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
You
it
probably
comes.
would have lagged. That's all.
The stress in your body actually comes as inflammation. It can lead to different diseases. It can lead to hypertension. It can lead to adrenal insufficiency. It leads to diabetes. So what happens is when you don't mentally deal with some of the things in your life, it actually comes out in physical illnesses. And even though, like say, okay, you got diabetes, it may not necessarily always be due to stress that you've dealt with, but a lot of times we find that people that have inflammation in the body, they have been dealing with or struggling with some type of memory or some type of problem, and then that problem manifests itself in the body. If you can just imagine something like a bad apple sitting in a good bunch of apples, all of a sudden that bad apple is taking over. So people don't think that your mental actually plays a part in your physical health, but your mental does play a part in your physical health. If you're sitting in a stressful situation all day long, if you have a lot of anxiety and some of the lives that you're joining, if it's causing you intensity, it's causing you hypertension, you have to step away for a minute, because what happens to your mental is actually going to affect your physical in the long run. That's where your my algebra came from. It possibly could, because it does lead to information. So a lot of things that we don't deal with, we just put on the back burner. The stress actually causes you to use more cortisol. So when your cortisol levels elevate, your liver's producing more glucose, and then all of a sudden your diabetes needs to work, your pancreas needs to work harder. And so it's like a cycle. So your mental health is extremely important. If you take care of your mental health, you'll be more inclined to take care of your physical. Okay, Queen, you can go ahead, Queen.
Can I do a commercial break real quick before you go, Queen, please? Get some taps going. Hey, you guys, welcome in. We got Orion, we got 5limgawd, we got Mrs.Netra, my sis. We have others here, y'all, who have been a support system. I'm very appreciative of what you guys are doing right now. Those who are all in favor, can y'all tap the screen, grab your daily heartbeat, please. It helps out the host tremendously. Keep tapping the screen so we can keep the algorithm flowing and keep new viewers coming in. And we just appreciate the love and support. Y'all keep doing y'all big one. And I appreciate y'all, Orion, Slim, and Netra. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate
Thank you. I'm listening, y'all, but I'm okay. Poetic, y'all. I'm just over here. We start our dance exercise in the morning, the exercise. And I got to get the emails sent out to everybody that's going to join. So that's why I'm quiet. But I'm listening.
Make sure you take your vitamin before exercise.
I will.
Okay. Go ahead, Queen.
I don't know if I really wanted to say anything. I was more up here to, I just want to address the young lady who was talking before. I think her name is Riz or whatever. I just want to say, I'm praying for you, sis, because I definitely understand what you're going through. I really do, and I do feel like like you hit it on the nose. The signs are there. The signs are definitely there, and that's actually why, something was said, or whatever, just couldn't pinpoint what it was. But I just wanted her to know that I'm praying for her, just like I'm praying for everybody else going through this. And I just want everybody to remember, everyone's situation is different. People lifestyles, people's the way they deal with things, the way they're brought up or whatever. Let's just all keep that in mind before we decide to judge or make any assumptions or whatever. Everybody's different. We just got to keep that in mind, and mostly just pray for each other, and just hope that there's better outcomes in the future. And I agree with what they were saying, that Slim was saying back in the days. And I never thought I was like a back in the day person until now. I'm 52 years old now, so I guess I'm the kind of back in the day too. But everything was shush, you're quiet. You don't say anything. You was taught like you to be quiet. Don't talk about stuff. Whatever. And I'm not trying to rehash everything that you already talked about. It's just that I'm new to sort of new to the conversation now. But yes, I just want everybody to just keep in mind everybody's situation is different. That's all.
I think that whenever we open up these conversations, you gotta know your level. You gotta be very aware of where you stand and where you at, because it's triggering, and sometimes it unlocks memories. It doesn't always just go over as an easy conversation because you don't know who has went through what in the room, who's still dealing with what in the room, and who has, you know what I'm saying, like probably they probably didn't even know it and they just sitting there going through it. So it's always a level of grace that need to be had when you having one of these types of conversations. Because childhood
Absolutely.
trauma in our community is never like it's so many of us that's fucked up because of shit that happened in childhood. Some of us right now are dealing with consequences from shit that happened in our childhood that we never got to speak about, we never got to address. And
Right.
yeah, it's just different. It's very much so different. You know what I'm saying? So
It's true. And then, to know that something happened to you and now it's, my granddaughter is going through it. It's just, I feel sick every time I just think about it. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's hard. So,
Queen, I had to think about it from my mother's standpoint, which my mother still hasn't taken accountability, which is okay. But my mother, she chose somebody that she thought was a good person to be around her children, number one. Number two, they worked odd shifts so that we didn't have to have a babysitter. So while he worked nights, she worked days. So she's going to work making a living. So we're thinking, okay, she's making a living and she's doing what she's supposed to. So I can't really, hold her accountable for the thing. So, I know your daughter, you said she feels really bad, but she chose somebody that she thought was a good person. She thought he was good for her and her children. So
Right.
tell her to be easy on herself because things happen. Sometimes they're out of our control.
yeah, I try to tell her this all the time. I really do. And she, one day she's good. It's day by day process. One day she's good and she gets it. Next day, like she's talking about, taking her life, guys. This is the thing I'm talking about. Everybody's different. Everybody can't handle things though, be so strong like some people or whatever. Like and honestly, it's just not surprising to me. But she's my middle daughter and she's a tough cookie. She is a tough cookie. Like, so when I hear her say certain things, it's just like, oh my God, like, you know, it,
nobody will ever be able to. Nope. Like I think that this is one of the reasons why family is so important and actually having a closer, tight knit family is so important. And I'm not just talking about the people that you share blood with, like the people that you meet around the way, because man, community help you out a whole lot more. Like that godmother and godfather role, those uncles and aunties, man, it's so good to have. You need a bigger circle because at times you get overwhelmed and those children need outlets, at least to be able to have someone that they feel safe talking to. Like I always say this about Miss Netra. Miss Netra seemed like that auntie you could tell anything to, you know what I'm saying? And she gonna tell you about yourself, but she definitely there to listen and support, and that's something that's missing at this day and time. A lot of times is don't talk to my child like this, don't say nothing to my child, don't tell me nothing about my child, when you really need those outlets for the children. Sometimes they might not feel, you might be the actual reason why they're not saying anything because they don't feel safe with you as a parent. You have to actually
right,
start looking at, if your child is uncomfortable with talking to you, that's a relationship, that's something that you set up in their head. That you got to start paying attention to a lot of stuff. It's not just
right,
they should come out and tell you shit. They might not feel comfortable. They
right,
might them kids be trying to protect y'all too.
right,
The same
right,
way they say that black women always try to protect black men so they don't call laws on us. Them kids be thinking the exact same shit. It'd be like if I tell my mommy about what this man doing, I'm gonna hurt my mommy because she gonna end up having to lock him up, or if
Or
it's the other way
my
around.
mommy gonna hurt him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like they be thinking of that, but you gotta really, really, uh, okay, you gotta really, really, you know what I'm saying? Like start developing a healthy communication relationship with your children. Because if they don't feel comfortable talking to you, you're gonna miss a lot of shit.
Very true. Very true. A lot of, kids they scared to talk to their parents. They're really scared about certain things. If you got your child so frightened they can't even talk to you, like that's something you got to look at too. I understand being strict, and trying to keep your child in check. But some people I just like, wow, like you got mad because you beat the crap out of him because he forgot to take out the trash or whatever. That's just an example I'm just using. It's just like sometimes you gotta think about all that stuff because there's so much to deal with in life. Like
We have to break those generation cycles too, because I grew up in a time where you were seen and not heard. You didn't have a voice. So I had to make sure that my children had a voice. And so my mom, she would tell us, well, that's how it was in our house. We were seen, we were not heard, you know, so you didn't have a voice. So she passed it on to her children. But then me and my siblings, we're determined, okay, we're not going to let our children grow up without a voice. We want our children to be heard, not just seen. If you have something to say to me, say it to me. Go ahead, Victor.
No, I was just agreeing with what you were saying, Miss Poetic. I mean, because I was raised up like that. Kids were seen and not heard. And so it's different things. I take a lot of stuff from my childhood that my mom raised and put in us, but there's some things I had to come to the realization, okay, I don't want to take this over into my family like this. I'm going to make this correction. And so then I'll just lay down my own set of rules and laws to my kids about what to feel comfortable to come talk to me about. Because even with intercourse, I made that open for my kids to feel comfortable. If you feel like you get to an age where you feel like this is something you ready, come talk to me first. I don't want you to feel like you can't talk to me about anything. And we have to make our kids feel, because if not, they may go sit up and try to talk to somebody else, and that person may not be a healthy person for them to talk to. And I only want my kids to talk to people that I feel like gonna put in them the same things I'm going to pour into them. I mean, the same traits that morals that I stand by, because I stand by a whole different class of morals probably than other people. So, I mean, because I don't want my kids dating to a certain age, and other people don't mind their kids dating at 12 or 13. You get what I mean? So we have kids here having babies at 12. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, all of them need to be grown. They start dating around me. I ain't fuck all that.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna be so disappointed when both your daughters start dating. I feel sorry for Six.
I ain't gonna lie to you. They
Shimmy.
boyfriends gonna get
Sorry.
tired. You hear me? They boyfriends
Oh
gonna
yeah.
get
That was
tired. You know why they gonna get tired? They gonna get tired of me whooping their ass. And I don't care about the
No.
grandkids.
I feel sorry for Six because Nana and Ruby both gonna be dating. Shimmy, go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to also just offer Riz Riz or Rizzy.
Riz.
Um
Risk.
make sure to give yourself grace, even in the times of frustration, of hurt, of always give yourself grace. I mean, I'm not all the way where I want to be, but I thank God that I'm not where I used to be. Um, you know, we fight this fight of where I mean, because we do feel alone. We feel alone so much, and not knowing there are so many people. Like, I used to think that it didn't happen in no other states when I was coming up. I not even in any other cities in the state that I grew up in. So we have to always give ourselves grace. And Miss Queen, for your family as well, grace. I mean, just grace. I heard what you said about your daughter. Um, and I deal with that on a daily basis, and my prayers. I mean, definitely, like I'm writing it down to make sure I put specific names in my prayers, because the hurt that I went through, the nights that I cried, the all the alcoholism, the um, being loose. I can't think of the proper word for it now, but them 4 3 girls. I was one of them for a while because I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt like I didn't have value to for myself. And for a long time, I'm 47 now, and I started feeling value probably 7 years ago when I turned 40. And for my men, same thing. Always give yourself grace. You just that's one of the other ways we have to deal with it. And yes, it does develop a lot of untaken care of. It does develop a lot of health issues. I have fibromyalgia, anxiety, depression, all that stuff. Well, I don't claim depression no more, and I'm getting by the blood. But yeah,
It does. Your mental health
I just want
on your physical health. So it is important to take care of your mental.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mashika. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What I wanted to say before I started ugly crying up here was like I wasn't speaking towards like Queen's situation. So like if we take my situation for example, like when I finally was able to have that conversation with my mom, she told me I was lying. So what I wanted to get at was when stuff like that does happen, like the best thing you could do is not invalidate your kids' feelings for how they felt because of the feelings that you're feeling. Because you don't even understand how that happened underneath your nose. Yeah. That's what I wanted to get at.
Right. And she could probably be feeling guilt and so in denial as well. And we have to extend our parents' grace too, because we don't want them to live the rest of their life, having that guilt with them. And so I am so sorry that happened to you. I completely understand. I can empathize, I can sympathize with you because I have been there. It took me a long time. I'm probably a lot older than you are, but it took me a long time to get past it and understand what was happening. And then, when my therapist finally had me talk to my mom, it wasn't the outcome that I wanted. It wasn't what I expected. I expected her to, possibly, I don't know, hold me, hug me, say I'm sorry, something. But whatever she would have said, it probably would have been different. So I completely understand what you're saying. I'm really sorry that you had to go through that.
Yeah, like I didn't mean to offend nobody.
You're fine. No, and everybody feels different about it. It's personal experience. We want to have the conversation, so we just have to respect people where they are. But you're fine.
Yeah, that's why I saw you going in the comments, and I was like, nah, I knew
I
where you
don't
was coming from.
conversation, y'all. I'm a perfect support. I got up here and just thought I was jump ready, but some nerves and some things came over my thoughts. So yeah, I'll be cool. I'll be honest with y'all. Y'all my people, y'all my family. Yeah, I'm just here to support you guys.
You good, bro?
Yeah, no,
But that was why I saw where she was arguing from in the comments, and I know it did look insensitive, but I know that this was the flip side of the coin. So that's why I was quick to like, nah, don't do it, y'all. It's like to support one, we're invalidating the other, and that's why I was so quick to jump to her defense because I knew she didn't mean it in a disrespectful way.
From the child, like the child in talking, 9 times out of 10, they probably having the same feelings that I'm saying right now. And you doing that is not gonna make it no easier for them to come out and express their feelings towards you because it's gonna feel like you're. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Nah, that's
I get what you
that's why I was so quick because I know like I get all sides of this shit. Like none of us is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Which we all wish to be perfect, and it still don't excuse the times where you missed it. It definitely don't excuse a parent that I ain't gonna lie to you. I fuck around be in jail even if a kid lied. But I am one to be like, before I try and say that you lying, I'm finna investigate to make sure that you telling me the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna dismiss nothing. And I think that's the worst shit in the world when your child tell you something, you dismiss it and just write it off like they just lying about some shit like that.
I could understand as far as like my mom, like, do it make it right that she's hey buddy? Lay down? Yeah, lay down. Lay down? My fault, y'all. But I understand from her standpoint as to like it was more so her saying no, like it was more so like her trying to convince herself. If that makes sense. And that don't make it right, but I could see that it was more so her trying to convince herself that couldn't have happened under my watch than rather just, saying that, but it still don't make it feel good that it was said.
Right, because no parent wants to feel like they failed. No parent wants to, admit, I didn't do what was right. I didn't observe them. Even if they said something to me at the time, I told them they were lying and stuff. No parent wants to feel that. I mean, my children, like I said, they're 34 and 36, and I would feel so bad if they even came today and told me something. I whooped my son one time when he was 4 years old, and I still feel guilty about it. And he always tells me, Mom, you let it eat you up more than anything. I barely remember it. But it's some things that happens to our kid that we know hurt our child, and we can't get over it. So the guilt lives with us too. I'm still crying about a spanking I gave him 32 years ago. I mean, it's crazy, but it is. So I get what you're saying. I completely understand, and your feelings are very, very valid.
It's more than just the people talking. It's always people from every different angle. That's why I wouldn't let nobody go at her. And I think that the people in the comments, y'all did right too, because they was trying to protect the mother. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was. It's one situation where I say everybody was kind of right. You know what I'm saying? Normally it'd be somebody that's wrong, but everybody was kind of right in this situation because everybody was speaking from their own place. So yeah, it just touches subject, but that's one of the reasons why I said like you got to start building community, and sometimes we need to go to therapy so we can prevent this type of shit happening from happening. One of the now this might sound insensitive as fuck, but I'm just gonna tell you straight up, and it's something that it's something that I read in the book, right? They say when you don't choose to deal with that trauma correctly, you're oftentimes more prone to deal with a person that does this shit to a child. And that shit fucked me up when I read it. They say a lot of times you'll have a woman who went through something like that and they vowed to never deal with a man that would do something like that. And they often end up with the same type of man and they end up happening to their child. So you really, really gotta like, I always say go heal, like go to therapy, do the work. You know what I'm saying? Because man, it's easy to say it'll never be me. If you ain't dealt with it, it could very easily be you from a person that you loved and trusted. They never showed you. You'll say they never showed you the signs. You just couldn't see it because they was able to get past it. It's like whenever you're dealing with hurt, sometimes or abuse, sometimes people get to exist in this space, like that abuser space, until you heal. They get to exist in this space, which everything that they doing, you kind of blind to it because they get to exist in the same space that your abuser did at one point in time. And until you heal, you'll never be able to get beyond that. Anybody else would like to chime in?
I was trying to see who was next. Most love is not Big Girl. Rose, did you want to say something else?
I feel like no, I'm not gonna say it. Hold on. I'm not gonna say anything. Don't laugh for it.
Okay, Shimmy, you can go ahead. Shamika.
Yes, that's right. I don't. I guess my only other. I have a question. And it will be for the lady that's next to you in the box.
Please.
Yes. You know, since those type of things happen to like the health things happen to us when they don't deal with them. And it's not to, I just want to know, is your mom in good health? Is she still here and is she in good health?
Yeah, she's still here.
Praise God.
Yeah, she's still here. We've never had the best relationship, honestly. Like, I've had this talk with Rose. Like, I hate to say it, but like, I don't look at my mom as my mom. Like, she wasn't that parental figure in my life for real. Like, she was there, but she wasn't there. So it's gotten to a point now, it seems like we're trying to like build that relationship, but I don't think, unless we like actually have that conversation to where, and I get the fact that I'll probably never get the accountability that I'm looking for. I just don't think that our relationship could be built to a stronger point than this unless that conversation is had.
Okay.
I understand.
And it's crazy that you asked that, because I would literally tell her like, and I even told my therapist, like I used to like wish dang near that she had an excuse for the way that she was acting, but there is not one, like not to my knowledge at least.
And to what she says is probably not going to satisfy it's not going to be satisfying to you. Whatever she tells me, whether my mom had said, okay, it was because I had to work, okay, it was because I couldn't do any better, it was because I was hurt. Probably nothing is going to
change nothing.
It's nothing that's going to give me that comfort that I need, that to know that I wasn't protected. So I had to deal with that on my own, to know that now I have to protect myself. I have to protect my children, because at this age, she's still never going to give me what I wanted. But I still choose for her to live her last days happy as she possibly can. Because even if she wasn't here anymore, I would still have the same questions. I probably would still feel the same way. So I had to make a choice to actually enjoy her while she's here and enjoy the good things about her, because sometimes we always remember the bad things, and it takes a toll on us mentally, and then it takes a toll on us physically.
Right. I was just about to say, I agree with Queen down there. It's not so much, I don't really have questions that I want her to answer. It's more so an apology would do me just fine.
Right.
Like no excuses, no, this is the reason why. Just the I'm sorry.
Right.
That goes a long way.
The hardest part
You
of that,
may not ever,
And I
I
get that. I'll probably never get it.
because I still have to see the one that did it to me, because he's family. So with saying that, I'll never forget sitting at church one Sunday and a pastor set up and she was talking and she said, sometimes you have to forgive that person in order for you to be able to move on. And my person was sitting right there in the same church I was sitting at that particular Sunday. And I remember that particular day, just like, God, I'm tired of living this way, weighted and heavy, not being able to enjoy my man, and going through life hating people for what happened to me at 9, and I'm fully grown now. I was allowing that to consume my life, so I wasn't even enjoying life. I wasn't enjoying the fullness of my kids. They weren't getting the best of me because a part of me was so angry and bitter. So I just had to forgive everybody that I felt like played a part in it. To this day, that man has never apologized to me. And when he see me, he speaks to me like he's never done anything to me. And he knows that it was brought out to his mother. The whole family is aware of it. But I mean, to this day, he's never acknowledged anything. And I mean, but I'm fine with that because I forgive him for what he did to me. And that brought me peace. And so, I mean, and I just choose even to stay from around him. But in your case, your mother, I would say this, you only get one. And what Poetic said is right. Try building a new relationship with her now. Have that conversation with her, because you deserve to have that conversation, and your feelings are very much valid. And let her know how you feel. And whether she validates them or not, choose to move on that day, just trying to build a relationship with her. Because when she's gone, you don't want to have any regrets, baby, because then you're going to really want her and have the opportunity to build a relationship. So take advantage of it now. It's not going to be easy. Just take it one day at a time.
What makes that hard is I already feel like I give so much grace considering events. And before I forget, let me answer Empress' question. I would say, so I have two things. The last one might be a little controversial. I don't know if I'm going to say it now. But as far as does she feel at fault to apologize, to tell me that I'm lying about it, yes, for sure. Because that's something that didn't even have to be said. I could just be speaking from the childhood wound, from a child, from that space, as to what I'm about to say next. But in my brain, if we're acknowledging that somebody made a mistake, why is it wrong to, I don't want to say blame because it's not solely blaming that person for it happening, but just like acknowledge, like, okay, yes, you made a mistake. I don't know how I want to, because it's gonna sound like I'm blaming them for it happening, but
No.
in the headspace, it's like technically it is because you the reason why you brought them in the house type beat, but at the same time, I get it. Like, you don't think that that's gonna happen.
Right.
I think the one thing that you, I'm sorry, Poetic, but I think
No,
the
go
one
ahead.
thing that y'all got, like when it come down to parents and the shit they do, it don't even have to be just feeling you and you get SA, like anything, and like all of their mistakes. You got to think about it. When they realize they fucked up, they feel like they failed their life, and some people just choose to ignore it and act like it didn't happen in order to be able to cope. I think on a if you were really able to ask them like how do they really feel about life, and they was able to open up, they would definitely tell you they feel like shit. They feel like they failed, and instead of believing that they failed, they rather just act like it never happened. And it's fucked up. It doesn't make it makes it
Yeah, I was
doesn't
gonna
make
say,
it
and I
right.
feel like that causes damage too on its own. But go ahead, Slim, my fault.
Yeah, it doesn't make it right, but I just know that everybody copes with things differently. Everybody copes with things differently, and you got to understand that sometimes you never know if your mama reliving a part of her childhood. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
but see, Slim, I get that, but I guess my thing is
and
like,
this not to get this not. I'm
like
not saying
no,
none
no,
of this
no.
to
I
give
get,
you so
yeah,
you can
I
forgive
get what you're
her
saying.
or like put your feelings aside. I just be wanting you to look at it from a different perspective.
I like what you did because it's really opening the door to another like sense of the conversation. So when it comes to that, even just in childhood trauma in itself, I I sometimes hate that because it's like, mm, I'm finding it. Hold on. It's it's not the child's fault that they have that said trauma. I should not have to deal with the effects of your trauma when you chose to have me, and I never asked to be here. That's honestly how I feel about that. Like, if you gonna have a kid, I get it. Sometimes you can't control that, but it's your duty once you have that child to go seek the help that you need to get so that trauma does not go onto your child.
That's facts. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I
No,
was
I
just
get what you. That's why I said I like what you said because it opened that conversation.
yeah. It's more so. It's just it's hard to hear somebody that it's hard to hear you when I'm hurting. I'm hurting too, and nobody was probably there for them. So it's like, damn, not me. Like I'm pretty sure she promised herself deep down inside. I'm not saying it happened to your mom, but I'm pretty sure she said I never let nothing happen to my baby, and then it happened to her baby, and she missed it. And everything else, yes, they need to heal. Yes, they need to be more adult, but we unfortunately that's not what they at, and that's the part that sucks because the child suffers.
Right. And you'll have to forgive for your own sake. It's hard, it is extremely hard, but the forgiveness at this point is for you and not for your mom.
And that's so and that brings it back to as far as like we get one mom. That's what I was gonna say. So like my father passed away when I was 15. So she's been like my only parent since then. So to an extent, I give her that much grace that I give her and still keep her around just off of that pulling that heartstring of that is my only parent left. And I do believe that regardless of all of that, like I ain't gonna hold y'all, like it'll go times where I cut her off. And I feel like one day it's gonna get to a point where me and her just never speak again. And I hate to say that, but sometimes you have to protect your peace, regardless of if that's your mama, your daddy, your granny, your cousin.
I understand that too. I really understand.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't see nothing wrong with cutting her off shit. If she don't, that sometimes that's the way to force the conversation.
Right. Yeah, I understand you completely. I really do, because I had cut my mom off too at a period, so I really get it. Queen Mapson.
Hello, y'all. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just gonna speak to the point of the one mother comment. That statement is so rich because it's exactly that. You get one chance to be that mother also. Like we get one mother, but you get that one chance to actually be a mother, to actually advocate for your child, to actually step up and be accountable, to be responsible, to acknowledge your shortcomings. You also have that opportunity as well. And when somebody chooses not to do that, I come from a place of being healed enough to say that I forgive my mom for all of her failures, for all of her
Okay.
shortcomings, but also I'm healed enough to know that her inside of my life is a toxic place because she can't continue to invalidate my place and my stance on my childhood and what I experienced. It's not a healthy relationship to constantly um, be around somebody who's trying to escape accountability when the things that they allowed impacted your life so traumatically. So I want to say to you, is it Rise?
It's Riz.
Riz, okay. Yeah, whatever you do it in a healthy mindset. I cut my mom off 6 years ago. And it's been I do have a mother wound. I do yearn for my mother in certain ways, but I understand that she cannot give me what I deserve, what I need, and she's not in a place to do that. So I can be without. I've created my boundaries, and it's a safe space for me. It's not toxic. It's not built on any conditions. It's not anything. And you can forgive somebody and still have that distance in between you. I love my mom. I love her, but she can't be near me. She can't be in my space because she can't be accountable. She can't be responsible, and she cannot acknowledge her shortcomings and the damage that it caused me. And that's also a healthy place to be. And I just wanted to leave you with that.
Thank you. And it's really like I promise y'all, I go with like every week I'm contemplating whether or not this is the time where I just cut her off and stop talking to her for like for good. Cause now I'm about to say, y'all, it's deep, but it's it's just hard for me. Sometimes I feel like I'm the mom for real. Like I feel like, and I know that's a grown ass woman. I turned 24 in May. My mama is about to. She not even 50 yet, but she close to it. And I know if I wasn't around and I help out with my mama a lot. I know if I was not around, she would not be in good shape. She wouldn't make it. And I feel like to an extent, and that's really what it is. I would feel like I'm neglecting her, and me knowing how being neglected feels, I don't want her to feel like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I completely understand what you're saying. Yeah, I get it. I do. It's hard. And like Queen, I think Queen said, it's been 6 years, and everybody, it's been 6 years. So getting ready to say, you have to protect your peace. So it is very valid that you do that. I am not kidding you. Whatever you need to do to protect your peace. And you can still, that doesn't mean you don't love that person. You still wholeheartedly love them, but you have to protect you. So that's okay. If somebody else want to say something, go ahead, Liz.
I was gonna say I'm listening. I hear y'all. I appreciate it. I'm on mommy duties at the same time. So when he gets to screaming, I don't want him just screaming in y'all ear.
Okay. Queen wanted to say something as well.
I was gonna say, before I got to this place of this 6 year long distance relationship, I was helping my mom and I was that caregiver for her as well. And I had to acknowledge in myself that I was doing all of those things for her because I was hoping one day that she would love me enough to admit that the things that like I'm being a great daughter. So you're gonna finally, like, I'm showing you that I forgave you. I'm showing you that I'm doing right by you. Like I'm showing you that I see you and I see your humanity, but I want you to validate me. I want you to I'm getting as close as I can I'm being your literal backbone. All I need you to do is this one thing, just this one thing. And she couldn't give me that. And I just knew that I was just slaving away, just hoping that one day she would see the hurt that she caused me, acknowledge the pain that she allowed and contributed to my life. And it's just honestly, if that's in the place that you are, Riz, baby, it's gonna hurt. And sooner or later, when it hits you, you'll see it. You can't love it in a person who doesn't want to be accountable, who doesn't want to acknowledge, and who wants to be in denial because they're thinking of themselves and how acknowledging your pain falls on them. It's a painful journey, but it's a necessary journey. So I pray that that's not the situation that you're going through, but if it is, get ready and understand that you're still a great daughter creating distance. You're still a great daughter because at the end of the day, you've done all that you can to prove your love, to prove your acceptance, to prove everything, and she still can't give you that one thing.
Right. And that's when they say love unconditionally. I say you love with conditions. I have to love you from a distance because I can't get what I need or what I want from you. And the way that I'm being treated makes me feel less than. You know, if you feel worse when you're talking to them or you're in the presence of them, that's not a good space for you, even if it's our parent. So you can still love them, and you love them though with conditions. I can't put myself back in this environment. I can't put myself in this space to actually allow myself to feel this way, because I have to go home to my family. I have to go home to my children. And your children, they pick up on your emotions, whether you believe it or not. They pick up on your emotions, and they know when you're sad. They know when you're unhappy, and you don't want your children to be able to sense that from you. So I agree with Queen Maps, and if you have to cut off, then you cut off.
Exactly. I agree with what you said, Poetic. Any unhealthy relationship should be cut off at the root. You said other things can be done with helping your mom, home health. I mean, stuff that won't even come out of pocket or out of pocket expenses. That way she's getting that type of help if needed, meals, bathing, little light housework and stuff like that. That will be more relaxing to your mind and soothing to your mind, knowing that those little things right there at least are being done. And and you just have to do what you have to do for you and your children and your family to keep your peace in your house calm.
Right. What do you think about that, Riz?
I agree. I feel like I do agree that it's getting. I can feel it. It is getting to that point, especially because, like I said, like I turned 24 in May. This has been an ongoing battle for like my whole. So I feel it. It's like I don't have to put up with this no more. I'm not a kid. But at the same time, like I said, like considering she my only parent left like living, it'd be like, dang. And I'm not gonna lie, like she the best grandparent. So the relationship she had with my son at the same time, it's like I feel like that dang, am I selfish for pulling that relationship away from my son? Even though like I don't get that type of love and affection that she give my child. Like I don't want to be detrimental to him in the same sense by I don't know.
No, I understand. You know, it was hard for me to even have my kids around my mom for a while because my mom, until I was about 45, she would always call me fat and ugly all the time. And that's all I heard when I was growing up. And so one day I just stopped calling, and I didn't call for like 2 months. And then she called to see where I was. I said, the last time I was at your house, I had asked you to stop calling me fat and ugly, and you didn't. And I can't deal with it anymore. And you know, she's never done that since this day, but she has done that for like the first 45 years of my life. So I had to put boundaries in place to have a relationship with her. But those 2 months without her, it hurt me not to be able to speak with her, not to be able to have my children see her. It was painful, but then it also made me feel like, wow, I don't have to hear those words again. I don't have to hear that again. So you have to do what makes you happy and what makes you feel good so that you can be in a good mental space for yourself and your children.
Yeah, the mama wounds is a motherfucker.
What?
Very messy. But that's some of the shit, like some of the reasons why I even explained when we was having toxic night shit. My mama talked to me all kinds of crazy, so because that was the first woman that supposed to show me love, I felt like that was what when a woman loved me, talking to me crazy and shit. And you gotta heal from that shit and learn like, nah, that was never healthy, brother. I mean, you that was your first version of the person you supposed to love and trust, but yeah, it
Your
fuck you
parent
up in the
definitely
long
your
run.
first bully. A lot of people parents be their first bully and they don't even realize it.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, my mother was a huge bully. I mean, and to my sisters as well. She talked about us bad. I mean, my sisters are beautiful, and she would talk about them and say things to them that would just hurt them to the core. And your own mother saying this, you can imagine how so many people have such low self-esteem when the person that is supposed to love you the most treats you the worst. It's hard. It's extremely hard to deal with.
I was gonna say about the whole cutting off thing though. It was something that I learned in therapy, and when I was in therapy, my therapist told me when you allow somebody to continue to bleed on you, then you're condoning and saying that it's okay to have a wound that's not being addressed. Like that becomes the habit, and that's what continues to happen. That's like that sweeping under the rug type mentality. Like I know we were talking about mothers and them having their own trauma, but once she became an adult and they learned that there's a wound that they need to attend to, you got to attend to that. You can't just continue to bleed on other people and expect it and expect them to be okay with it, because you need to address that wound. That wound causes all types of afflictions in other people. Like you got to address that. So it's our mother's duties to heal themselves, or to seek support to get the healing that they need, because then they have daughters and they keep having, like, literally, if we don't heal these wounds, we bleed generation into generation into generation, and we keep repeating the same thing over and over. It must stop somewhere. We must, even though they had their situations and they're a victim, they're also um, not a suspect, but they're also somebody perpetuating the abuse as well. So like you can be both things. They have to heal that, because they are causing trauma to other generations, and that can't be okay either.
No. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, so I have a question.
Go ahead. Oh no, well never mind. I'm a mute.
All right, so I've been listening for a long time, okay? And I've been taking in, digested a lot of things that y'all been saying for the past maybe like hour, maybe 2 hours. And one thing that keeps cycling in my mind is, okay, it's a few things. My first question for y'all to really think about was, when did y'all realize that your parents were human? When did it actually dawn on you that your parent is human and they have emotions? When did it really dawn on you that some of the things that I might have done as a child could have affected my parent? And I did know what I was doing. And I can't make excuses for it, because I did know that I was saying mean shit. When have we acknowledged the painful things that we've said and done to our parents out of our own personal feelings, out of our own emotions, the vile things that we've said, the disrespect that we've shown our parents? When did we acknowledge that we were wrong in a lot of things that we did in our teenage years? Because I can't really judge you off of 7, 10. But when you know better, and you've known better probably since you was probably 12, and as a Black community, we've known better since you probably were 8 for real. We've known better. So when have you acknowledged that there are things that you did that could have affected your parent in a negative way, and not realizing that just because they are your parent doesn't mean that they're allowed, or that they're supposed to take verbal abuse from their children? It does not make it right what they have done to you. But when have we acknowledged that? Because oftentimes when I hear conversations such as these, the victimization that we tend to display, we forget that we have done shit ourselves to our parents. We forget the emotional drain, or we don't even acknowledge the fact that we drain our parents. We don't acknowledge the fact that they're trying to figure out life while also trying to take care of their kids. And it does not make it right, the things that they have done to you. But it also doesn't make it right, the things that you said to your parents, and the things that you've done to them too. And so we have to take a step back and realize that they are human. I had to take a step back. Me and my mother did not have a great relationship growing up at all. Niggas probably wouldn't believe that, hearing how me and my mom interact. We did not have a good relationship at all. In fact, I even told my mom I hated her when I was a child.
I've never said that to my mother. I've never, ever disrespected my mother, especially as a child. I was the quietest child. I never did anything wrong as a child, believe it or not. I was a really good kid. So what happened to me wasn't any responsibility that I had to take or I had to own, but I do give my mother grace because by the time she was 22, she had 4 children and she had a husband that left her because of me, is what he said. So I never, ever disrespected my mother or called my mother a name, never told my mother I hate her. So that does happen. What you're saying does happen because I have seen my sister disrespect my mom. I could never speak to my mom in a negative way like that. And I did cut her off when I was like 45 years old, but growing up in her house, never, not one time was I ever disrespectful. Now, I may say something under my breath where she couldn't hear me because I knew if she did hear me, she would come get me. Never. And my mother, I give her grace because she had 4 children under the age of 22. So I give her a lot of grace, and it was probably hard for her. And at one point she was single. So I give her a lot of grace, but never, ever well, I'm from a different era. I'm Gen X, I think. So from my generation, disrespect was never allowed. You couldn't even roll your eyes or look at her wrong. If she thought you said something, you getting smacked. And so on that end, I have no accountability to take on that end. We cleaned the house, we cleaned her room, we cleaned the baseboards, we did everything for my mom. I mean, my mom, she just didn't allow anything, and we knew not to test her or not to play with her. Now, big girl is probably from my age group or a little bit younger. I'm 56, so big girl, you probably
I'm
younger.
50.
50.
I'm
Okay.
50, and it was the
So-
same thing with my mom.
So,
She
so
didn't play that.
let's be clear, right? Because it doesn't take away from how your parent may have felt.
Mhm.
And so we can feel that way all we want, right? But we don't know what she was thinking. Unless you ask her right now and hey, have I ever disrespected you when I was a kid? Like, and even then, at the age that y'all are at right now, it's too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not something that's on her mind. Like,
her kids were never disrespectful except for one, the baby girl. That's the only one that was disrespectful. But she'll tell us the rest of us, we didn't get disrespectful. We didn't get out of line. We got beatings every single day. I mean, 7 days a week. But my mom was probably going through a lot. She had 4 kids at a young age. She didn't know how to handle it. 2 kids that were in 2 different types of diapers, 2 kids that were drinking 2 different types of milk or formula and baby milk. So we have all given her grace, and out of all 6 of her children, only 1 of her children have been disrespectful. And she'll tell you that to this very day.
right. And so that's your situation. So I can't, my statements, it touched to every point, whether it's the stress of work, juggling kids, school, relationships, I touched every point, right? And so for you, that may not have been a thing. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that there are a lot of parents who feel, as even someone just said in the comments, resentment because of how their child behaved, right? And then that affects how they deal with the kid. And they're trying to find a way to not feel that resentment and not abuse their child due to the fact that their child is acting up because they want to, because they feel like they can, or because there's something underlining that's happening and the child is not speaking about it, or the child doesn't feel safe having the conversation. It's a multitude of things. It could be things happening at school.
So wouldn't that still technically be, because if your child is not comfortable talking about you with something, there's a reason why they're not comfortable talking to you about something.
Right. It doesn't take
you haven't made
the point that I'm making, right? The point that I'm making, and it's not for me to, I'm not here to defend y'all parents at all. The point that I'm making is just for you to acknowledge that your parents are still human.
and
Oh,
to see them
absolutely.
and to see them as human, and to see that they make mistakes, and to understand that you have the ability to make the same mistakes that your parents have made. And sometimes we might even see our parents in ourselves. And if y'all have children, you might see yourself doing something that your parent did. And when you're fighting to not be your parent, you will turn into the exact thing that you're fighting to not be. And so you have to be able to acknowledge that there were mistakes that was made and actually forgive them for the mistakes that they have made. Even if they do not say out of their mouth, they made those mistakes. Acknowledging that pride and ego play a part in a woman, especially if she may have been a single mother, even if she was in a relationship, still acting as a single mother. There's a level of pride, there's a level of ego, and there's a level of restraint that a Black woman has to have in society, period. And if she has multiple children, that plays a factor. If the fathers aren't doing what they're supposed to do, that plays a factor. If she doesn't have a community to help her, that plays a factor. If nobody's listening to her, that plays a factor. If her voice has been silenced, it plays a factor. If she works at a job that no one listens to her, it plays a factor. If she's being abused at work, it plays a factor. If she's being abused by her parents, it plays a factor. The point that I'm making is that your parents, even if they have done vile things, they have done egregious things that you feel like I would never do to my child, acknowledge that the never is where we mess up oftentimes. Because you don't know where someone's mindset is, right? We don't know what type of mental issues that our mothers were dealing with at the time. We don't know if she had maybe lost a friend. We don't know if there's death in the family. There's so many things that play a part in how people behave. And I'm not making
the child's fault though. Like,
I think what
I'm not making excuses.
Like, that's their problem to solve.
Any of y'all. I think
Rose saying
in this
is,
conversation.
I think y'all gotta hear Rose out real quick. And just to simplify it, because she elaborating, and sometimes the elaboration you can lose the point.
Triggers. I understand. There's a part that we don't know what they went through, and we have to give them grace. But what we're talking about, these two adults up here, and what these two adults are dealing with now as adults, not as children. So, like if Queen decided, okay, I have to cut my mom off, that's her decision, and I understand that. Even though she may have wrestled with cutting her off and dealt with the things that she dealt with as a child, everybody's situation is different. So it's hard for any of us to look on the inside from the outside and say, okay, what did you do? What did I do? Well, we can do that, but at the same time, we have to validate what they went through.
I think,
okay,
but
so
the best point that it can simplify all of this shit real quick, right? When Rose say, look at your parents like they human, remember that your mama, your mother, your father, the parents that failed you were doing the best that they know how to at the time when they had y'all. Don't mean that they did the best in the world.
Exactly.
They were doing the best that they knew how to with the situation that they had. And
Queen is a human.
That's what made me.
But Queen is a human, so we have to also acknowledge her. And
why do they get so much grace though?
So
it's not about hold up.
Here's where the problem's lying, right? Because we did not live the life that you lived. Okay. And this is me now using what I'm learning in school right now. We did not live the life that you lived. We cannot speak to every single intricate detail that played a part in why you feel the way you feel and why you react the way that you react. We only know what you say. We do not know the other side. Right. And so that is not fair for us to have to try to defend what we're saying, the points that we're making, all because there are information that you have within you that we don't know about. And the more that we speak, the more that you're going to hit us with another, another point or another statement or another fact based. Hold on.
Hear me out. Is kind of aggressive and a little bit rude.
Hear me out.
I love you, Rose. I'm just saying it just comes across a little bit aggressive, and invalidating our feelings is what it comes across as.
Okay, so I'm gonna shut up. It's cool.
No, don't shut up. I'm just saying. I
think that there's two parts to this, right? And that, like I said, the mother, the father, whoever it is, whoever it is, they were doing the best that they knew how to. Now,
and they're doing the best that they could. What about the person that's actually living it?
Right, and the person that's living it's unfortunate, but they end up. It's nothing that you can do. It's nothing that you could do or say to change the outcome. what's happened is happened. You can only be responsible about what you do going forward. And once you of adult age, like that's the one healing tool. Like, damn, it helps you forgive your parent, right? Not saying that you justify their actions. Sometimes in their forgiveness, you also have to set boundaries, which is cutting them off until they can acknowledge what they've done, or maybe never talking to them again if they can't.
Exactly. That's
All right, so I'm gonna say this because
I said earlier, that's why when I was going through therapy, they said you may never get what you need from your mother. She may never hold herself accountable. That's okay. I had to forgive for myself. I had to forgive her actions. And I tell myself, she had 4 kids. She was struggling. I make every excuse in the world as to why she let happen to me happen. 5 different people. It wasn't just one. It was 5 different people. I'm not angry with my mom. I love my mom. I take care of my mom. She 80 years old. If she called me right now, I would be over there. I see her as human. But these ladies up here, I also see them as human too, like Queen. She had to cut her mother off. I see her as human. I see her mother. I don't know why she cut her mother off, and she don't have to say, but then I'm still validating her as being human. So I understand what you're saying, Roseanne. I really do. I have been through years of therapy. But I'm just saying I have to acknowledge them as being human also.
So okay, so I lied when I said I was going to shut up. I'm not shutting up, and the reason why I'm not going to shut up is because I know that I'm passionate, and I'm not going to be tone police based off people's triggers and emotions and feelings. Respect.
I wasn't tone police. I wasn't.
But it was tone policing, though,
Okay,
Poetic.
I apologize for tone policing you.
You don't have to apologize.
It's fine because I'm just telling you how it came off, and I am not triggered, but I'm saying I apologize for saying that.
Okay. So, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'll say that. Now, my thing is this: the statements that I'm making, they'll inspire some and they'll trigger others. Both of those things are medicine, right? Both of it is medicine. And so, in the statements that I'm making, I would understand if I'm saying things that are, you know what I'm saying, in a way to hurt or harm individuals. That's not the case. I'm not being aggressive. In fact, I'm just passionate and I'm being direct with the statements that I'm making because I do not coddle individuals and I do acknowledge what's happening and I do acknowledge the conversations and I have acknowledged what they have said. However, there's another side of that coin, and I'm not saying that she should not, I'm not saying that she should break her boundaries and invite a woman into her space that she does not trust, that can emotionally regulate herself or that can be in a space with her and not disrespect or whatever it is that she's feeling towards her mother. I'm not saying that. However, what I am saying is that some people need to acknowledge that there are things that we have done as children that have played a part in how our parents behave. That is not taking away from how she has felt or the things that she has experienced in her lifetime with her mother. It doesn't take away from any of those sentiments. However, sometimes we forget that we do things too. Sometimes we forget that we make mistakes as well as their children. And not all the time we have the right answers and not all the time they have the right answers. But at the same time, all I'm saying is that if we're trying to heal, and this is where it gets like real controversial, right? If we're trying to heal and we're trying to break the generational curses that everyone likes to speak on, at a certain point in time, as unconventional as it may be, we have to be the parent that they didn't have. And what I mean by that is understanding what has happened, removing that emotion that you've been harboring since you were probably a child. Hear me out. Hearing what is happening, understanding that they will not respond the way that you want them to respond. When I'm saying parenting, I'm not saying as you petting your parent and being their mother. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what it is that you wish that they would have done for you, you have to give it to them so that they can see what it is that you're saying that you want from them. I.e., treating people how you want to be treated. If they're not respecting that, if they cannot do that, I understand you breaking off that tie. I understand you cutting it off. I understand you removing yourself, setting that boundary. I don't want any parts. I get that. But at the whatever, it's okay. I'm done.
I did. I wanted you to finish what you were saying. If you don't want to, I get why. Okay.
I wanted to come up to say, hi ladies, hi Slim. Um, I declined an invitation to come up earlier, but I came up because I see where everyone's coming from, and I am a living testament to that child who cut their parent off for 7 years to come back and not receive an apology, to have to show my mother and speak to me as an adult. I'm a child of a boomer. So talking about feelings was not a thing. Talking about the past was not a thing, especially trauma that was closely linked to that parent's trauma that they never got a chance to deal with. So I had to, in turn, forgive my mom because I knew how it felt. And to think that she went through similar or worse, I had to empathize that she has to grow to a place to feel comfortable enough within herself to even acknowledge the truth and the hurt. And when you're a person who goes through it, it places you in a spot to where you got to empathize with that other person who has to come to where you are, no matter how young or old. So you do what you have to do, Riz, and right now in separating yourself from what is hurting you. You allow your mother to have time to grow through her process. And a lot of the wall that has been built is a wall of guilt. It's a wall of shame. It's a wall of, as a parent, I allow this to happen to my child. And now my child is an adult who can tell me how hurt she is. She can't run from it. So she builds a wall. So you either come into a place to where you will teach her how to take that wall down brick by brick, and it's not going to feel good, but in the end it will. Or you give yourself time, you give her time, and you let life come together. But we don't dictate that timing, that timeline, and you lose time. So I am a person who had to, in the end, teach my mother how to love me so that I could love my mother properly. And I had a handful of years left to do so. And that time was taken from us. And I finally got the apology in the last months of her life. I say all of this to say that we are all right, and we do have to care how we deliver our message so we can be heard and felt and understood. Because as women, we're sisters. As Black and brown women, we have to come together and give each other space and a hug, even if it's just energy. So I'm going to come back down. I'm grateful and thankful for this space. Slim, thank you for taking this on. I too have my own story, but I thank you all for having the courage to speak about your own life and bear it all out here for those of us who are not ready to have the conversation out loud. So I thank you all. Have a blessed night. I'm going back down.
All right. Go ahead, Queen. We finna wrap it up.
Oh, damn it. Go ahead.
Let Queen go. I'm gonna let everybody get their final points in.
I was just going to say, I can come from the standpoint of the child and the mother. Um, of course, I'm the child, but I also became the mother with my first child. Becoming a mom through my circumstances, incest, rape, and sexual abuse. I became a mom at 14 due to my mom's negligence and just utter poor parenting, right? And then when I became that mother, unhealed, still going through my trauma, I bled all over my first child. I abused my first child. And nothing my child did can contribute to anything that I put her through. Her crying, her diaper being wet, colic, rolling her eyes, throwing a fit, being more of a financial responsibility, just being fed up with the ill-equipped mother that she'd had. None of those things were reason enough for me to cause her any of the pain that I caused her. What I did is what was done to me, which was be a negligent parent who was reactionary and did not have patience. And I took that out on my child. She didn't deserve any of that. There's no excuse for any of it. I don't care if she ever told me she hated me, and she never did. I don't care if she ever told me I was stupid or a horrible mother, and she never did any of those things. But if she had, that had nothing to do with me being an unhealed. And I was a young mom, and I still don't give myself grace. I was 14 when I gave birth. I still don't give myself grace, because me being human is knowing that I should not do unto others what I did not like that was done unto me. That's being human. Being human is understanding that raising my hand and applying it to somebody else with excessive force hurts. That is me being human. Me being human, knowing that me saying words that belittle people hurt. That's me also being human. So I can give my mother grace to the extent that I know that she is human. Yes, I know she is human, but she is also human human enough to know that she gave birth to another human that she caused harm to, and she needs to be accountable for it. The same way I am accountable to my daughter every day that I live, and it does not excuse anything that I did to her, because I was ill-equipped, because I was young, I was ignorant. I did not have the skills that I needed to be the proper parent that she needed. She didn't ask for any of that, and she still sees my humanity. At the end of the day, we have to start holding people accountable and saying, yes, I see your humanity. Yes, I see that you went through something. I have enough trauma for a century of people. You're talking to somebody who's been assaulted more than 600 times. I have enough trauma for a century of people. But what I put down on my daughter, she didn't ask for it, and she didn't deserve it. I don't care how much I went through. I needed to heal, I needed to be better, and I needed to do better, which is why I waited a while before I became a mother again. I waited till my children could get a different version, a different person. And now I'm currently trying to heal my oldest from what I put her through. She is not accountable for any of that, and I'll land there.
Can I go next? Okay, I'm going ahead.
Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, so when I had started talking, I muted. I had to realize, for one, it's Rose, and I've had this conversation with her before. It's hard to not feel like that's targeting or coming at you directly because of the conversation that we're having. But her statement was like a generalized statement for all situations, because she wasn't wrong as far as they are human. I do agree with Queen as far as that's not my responsibility to take on, but at the same time, you do have to acknowledge the reality of the fact that at the end of the day, they're human. Having kids don't come with a rule book. I get that too. Once I stepped back and looked at what she was actually saying, it's not so much directed at all of us, because all of our situations are different. It's that's I don't I think y'all took what she said in a wrong way, because that's not the intent that she had behind what she said, at least in my opinion. But I do appreciate all of y'all for y'all kind words and everything. So
All right, I know some you want to end. I'm gonna just say this. I wrote down some notes. I had to try to reel it in. So, all right, this is what I got. Okay. I think that when we're learning how to love, whether it's loving on ourselves, others, or when it comes to just life itself, the journey that it takes is very tedious. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of self-awareness, and it definitely takes a lot of intentional efforts. I feel like love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice, it's an action, right? It's a commitment that we have. It involves a lot of patience. It involves a lot of kindness. It involves a hell of a lot of understanding. And sometimes it even involves us sacrificing. It's sacrificing time, sacrificing things that we don't like. I feel like love is not control and it's not dependency or just words. I feel like if a person loves you, they'll show it through consistent actions. I also feel like you can't truly love others in a healthy way if you don't love yourself first, which is like cliche. People hear that, we hear that all the time, right? But it's like, it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but what it should show is that you have accepted yourself with all of your flaws and all. What it should show is that you're setting boundaries to protect your well-being. What it should show is that you're practicing self-care and prioritizing your needs, and that you're healing from those past wounds that should not shape your future relationships. I feel like love isn't just about how you feel, it's about how you treat others as well. And when it comes to conversation with not just our parents or our spouses or our kids or even just coworkers, it's how you listen without judgment. It's how you put yourself in someone else's shoe to understand what's happening. Love is showing appreciation and gratitude and being patient when people are making mistakes, or when you see that a person isn't where you would wish that they were. I feel like when it comes to healing, our ability to love can be blocked by the pain that we've experienced in our past, those childhood traumas, right? That heartbreak that we first felt from our parents before we ever had a lover. I feel like that healing is acknowledging and processing your emotions effectively, and also